Before the video begins, just know that there are spoilers for Deltarune Chapter 5. If you haven't played it yet, go do that first and come back to see if you agree. Deltarune Chapter 5 recently came out, and I couldn't be happier. The chapter was funny, emotional, and overall just an amazing time. So today, I'll be going over my thoughts and the pros and cons of Chapter 5. Let's start with the story. To pretty much no one's surprise, the Dark World takes place in Asgore's flower shop. The chapter centers around the gang trying to reach Asgore and get his help with closing the fountain. We meet Flowey, who's basically Flowey anime version, but even more punchable. We also meet the other flowers, Aqua, Seth, Blue, Yellow, Orange, and Green. We're meant to be parallels to the human souls from Undertale. We also finally get to jump in Deltarune. Then after meeting all the flowers and doing a bunch of platforming, we get to the final stretch, where we learn more about Rousey's fire magic. This is also where you can fight Mew Mew, but she's actually Miku, and she gives you the Shadow Crystal, but who cares because cutie Mew Mew magic is a bomb. Then you fight the flowers for a bit, and finally get to a flowery battle, where you fight two in a mercy-only battle, and that's basically it. That was a really sped-up summary, but I want to get to what's actually important. This chapter has a ton of pros. The emotional story beats and characters were handled perfectly. I originally thought Flowey wasn't well developed as a character, but upon replay, I think it was honestly perfect how he was handled. At the beginning, you think Flowey is just going to be annoying, but as time goes on, he starts to question things that the characters choose not to discuss. For example, he points out the irony that the heroes close the fountains over darkness to their homes just so that they can keep Castletown, which he is completely correct about. Once the Dark Fountain is closed, the flowers will have no way to pursue their dreams. They'll have to return to their dormant mindsets, and if they don't feel fulfilled, they'd have to live in sadness knowing they can never accomplish their dreams. Rousey is forced to come to terms that his choices are important, and that he is his own person with his own decisions, interests, and emotions. Flower is a character that questions the main characters, and he's written perfectly for that. He helps everyone involved to understand that not everything is black and white. You can't always just choose what you assume is right, and that everything has its pros and cons, and should be seen that way. You can't leave moral or emotional discussions in the dark because they are uncomfortable to talk about or understand. On another note, all of the flowers are amazing characters. They're all funny, interesting, and lovable. Overall, I like this chapter a lot, and I could not have asked for something better. But this video is about pros and cons, so let's get on to that. I have almost no cons for this chapter, but there are some smaller issues. The one I see brought up most is that Asgore got way too little screen time. The bits where he was included were important, but it would have been much better if we got to learn more about Asgore's relationship with Chris, and maybe a few hints towards what caused Asgore and Toriel's divorce. Asgore should have just gotten more focus throughout the chapter instead of giving all that focus to Flowey. The only other con that I have is that Rousey is revealed to be able to use fire magic offensively, but it isn't really brought up later on in the chapter, nor does he learn a new spell or anything. It might be brought up in later chapters, but it seemed kind of glossed over due to the chapter ending quite soon after the reveal. As you can see, Chapter 5 has way more pros than it does cons, and the few cons that I do have are really just nitpicks. Some things I didn't get to mention are how well thought out the platforming sections are, the immaculate soundtrack, and how good all the enemies and fights were in this chapter. In conclusion, this chapter is a solid second place for me, right behind Chapter 4. It simply doesn't top the absolutely amazing art, soundtrack, and story that Chapter 4 brought. Anyways, thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Stingus.